Good evening. We are going to issue our presentation on a new icon of Saint Ignatius of Antioch. The title we have proposed is Lionheart. We would like to establish a comparison of the recently past bishop and the Saint Ignatius of Antioch. So through a post-Byzantine icon. This is the icon. We would like to do it through 5 chapters. So let's go for the introduction. Saint Ignatius of Antioch is one of those people known as the Church Fathers. That is one of the relevant characters in the first centuries of the Christian history, responsible for his contribution to the fundamental doctrinal development of the Church. The ultimate foundation of Christianity is understood to be Christ, but the various communities of Christian followers had to elaborate in various ways and by various procedures the basis of that ever-living and growing construction that is tradition. In the case of Saint Ignatius of Antioch, it also happens that in addition to being an ideologue of Christianity, he lived at a time when the apostles did as well. It has been suggested that he could have been born around the 35th year of the Western Christian era, and that he died around the end of the first decade of the 2nd century. For this reason, he also receives the qualification of apostolic father. It seems beyond any doubt that he was a bishop of Antioch, one of the most consolidated early Christian communities. However, from the beginning, the diversity of its believers has been great, in such a way that nowadays there are 5 patriarchs in Antioch. This also reminds us of the importance of this geographical region in the history of Christianity and the convulsive circumstances that have always accompanied its groups of believers. It is worth remembering that Antioch was the first place where the disciples were called Christians. Second point. Saint Ignatius of Antioch was condemned to death in Troyan times, accused presumably of professing Christianity. In one way or another, the birth of the new faith was a challenge for the Roman authorities, and the discord between communities tightened the rope. Although he was convicted in Syria and could be executed there, his transfer to Rome was ordered. He himself assumed that as a disciple of Christ, he had to suffer martyrdom. His desire was to die. According to his letters, Ignatius wanted to be thrown to the wild beasts, or what is more, those are his own words, by being thrown to the beasts, he wanted to triumph over them. In his letter to the Romans, he says, "Let me hand it over the beasts, since through them I can reach God." It is precisely his attitude to his announced martyrdom that earned him another epithet, Theophoros, that is, God carrier. Little is known about the specific circumstances of the martyrdom, beyond what is imaginable based on all kinds of chronicles and accounts of similar situations. It seems that he was indeed thrown to the wild beasts. Those beasts that iconographic tradition has specified in the lions, that in their natural environment are fearsome predators at the top of the trophy. It seems that what was left of him, the hardest parts, were collected by his brothers in the faith and taken as relics to Antioch. According to Saint John Chrysostom, once in Rome, he reached heaven, he returned as crowned. So let's go for this third point in the introduction. It has been pointed out that the diversity of religious confessions, due to their own starting point, due to their geographical origin, or due to the different solutions issued when formulating the confessional essence, took to important disagreements. Therefore, it is not difficult to understand that tensions arose in social life, and that Saint Ignatius of Antioch had to face them as the church shepherd he was. In this context, it seems that he distinguished himself by his continuous and committed calls for unity. In his letter, he defends keeping such unity around the ecclesiastical hierarchy. When watched from nowadays, nothing new. So, second chapter, milestone works related with this topic. By addressing the iconographic approach, it seems appropriate to propose a first framework considering reference works related to this topic. For this reason, at first, we propose a brief approach to the world of beasts, especially lions, with which other patron saints of the Church have grappled. Saint Macarius the Roman, like so many other hermits, lives with them and is a reference for those who adopt the notion of hermetism in the Orthodox world. In the icon at Mount Athos, he is seen modestly covered with his own fur and taking care of two lion cubs at the entrance of the cave that serves as his shelter. An example of asceticism in an inhospitable natural environment. In the images of the life of Saint Gerasimus at the Church of Saint Nicholas of Manov, we see the saint removing the thorn from the lion's leg. Here we are. And then a scene that shows the legend of the lion and the donkey. Here we are. In this case, coexistent with a wild animal of these characteristics is added as an exemplary element to emphasize the error of the saint and the fidelity of the animal. A top reference to Saint Ignatius of Antioch is found in the illumination of the Menologion of Basil II. The realistic rendering of the scene is heartbreaking. The emphasis is on a martyrdom of the saint. He is seen kneeling on the ground. So here we are. Attacked by lions of great naturalistic realism. The character's blood gushes out profusely from the beast's beaten body. So there's blood everywhere. Oh, sorry. So here, so on. Nothing to do with the victorious, upright character, almost immune to the attack of the beasts, which will be developed on later times. In this icon at the Patriarchate of Antioch, we already find the iconographic type that will be common for some centuries. In this case, the lions are presented in reverse position, the one on the right facing down, as clear sign of the saint's victory over the beasts, the one on the left doing his job. Both are red in color to create the effect of an increased power. Just to conclude this approach, those milestone works related with the topic, we should indicate that this topic is not exclusive to Orthodox iconography. This 16th century engraving published in Rome, the saint can be seen kneeling in prayer while he is attacked by multiple animals at the same time. The Roman Colosseum is clearly identified, so this could be the Colosseum, and the allegorical presence of the cross with Simeon of Jerusalem, as well as Clement of Rome, thrown into the sea with an anchor tied around his neck, refer us to the universality of martyrdom for Christ since the very beginning. Highlighted Balkan works. When considering a second frame of icons, clearly Balkan and more recent, we find a 17th century work tagged as Greek in the Pushkin Museum. This icon, the saint can be seen in prayerful attitude, both arms up to the right, while he is being attacked by two red lions, probably an underlying of the fineness of the animals, being the one on the right in an inverted attack position. As it has been said above, this would be an iconographic proposal of the saint's victory. The character's attitude is as if addressing the animals, indicating that he is living for another place and that they have nothing to do with him since he is protected by Christ. Considering the 17th century fresco in the Zermpitsis Monastery in the Peloponnese, Greece, we highlight the position of the saint's left hand. So here we are. Paying attention to other iconographic patterns, the lions are in similar positions as those of the previous icon, though they show a more naturalistic reddish-brown coloration. Another interesting icon is that of the 19th century in the Manov collection in Bulgaria. From a symmetry point of view, it is a symmetrical icon of the previous ones. The saint places his hands in a prayerful attitude towards the left, the lion on the left totally upside down, and the lion on the right perpetrating the attack, both in red. The icon of the Dullaert collection in the Netherlands is now displaying the two red lions in an upright position while the saint is blessing with his right hand. The left hand shows an unnatural position. Let's see the hand again. That will be useful to us when describing the icon at hand. The 19th century icon of the Melnik region, Bulgaria, is quite similar from a structural point of view to the previous one, to two red lions in an upright position and the saint blessing with his right hand. The presence of two additional lions around the subpedanium on which the character is located stands out. So this and these two lions. A similar case in a simplified version is that of the icon of the Troyan Monastery in Bulgaria. So we are really near with Bulgaria. Finally, we point out different works that show the diversity that this iconographic type displays at the considered lapsed time. Interesting, two upright lions and hands up, two upright lions and two hands up, hands to the left, one lion down right, and the same in this other picture. Oh, sorry. So this is going to be the fourth point, the description of the icon. The icon is 32 by 22.5 centimeters. The saint is flanked by the two lions, as in the just discussed icons of its time. He looks up at the blessing hand sticking out to the right of the image. So here it is. From this hand, light radiates to illuminate the character. He is dressed in the proper episcopal attires. The two beasts climb on him, sinking the teeth at his shoulders. The color of these animals is yellow in both cases. The saint opens his arms in a way to welcome his destiny. This is a quite interesting interpretation for us. The unnatural position of his right forearm and hand is well worth to be noticed. Here we are. The head sports a thick greyish hair that frames a face in which the eye bags clearly indicate the advanced age of the saint. So here's the eye bags. In addition to a bountiful, rounded white beard and pronounced moustache. The medium-sized aureole highlights the whole head. Lions show off sharp claws that emphasize the fierceness of the attack. Also, whiskers and long manes, which small ears protrude. From which small ears protrude. Saint Ignatius' blood spills from its jaws during the attack. Their hind legs, here, their hind legs grasp the martyr in order to carry out the deadly attack. As indicated in some of the previous cases, the right hand falls down in an unnatural position. Here again. This can be used to establish certain relationships that may help in putting this simple icon into context. The background landscape is neutral, a flat ground with little vegetation, nothing reminiscent of the original Roman Colosseum. Inscriptions were made on the board to explain who the saint is and when the work was carried out. Here, who the saint is, or Ios Ignatius of Theophoros, which is Saint Ignatius Theophoros, the God-bearing. And here we have those inscriptions, lines, those inscriptions in 1878, 20th of December, with the support of all devoted Christians. Final remarks. Finally, we will focus on a small number of icons that have an important iconographic relationship with the one just described. This fresco on the exonarthex of the Albanian church Saint Nicholas in Voskopoje, 1721, has a very similar iconographic pattern. Saint Ignatius is dressed in the attire that identifies him as a bishop, and with his gaze directed to the heavenly hand that appears to the right of the image. Here is the hand. The two lions on either side of the saint in identical position, arms and hands outstretched to ready to accept the destiny that the saint has been proposed. So this is the attitude of the hands. The only substantial difference is the coloration of the two lions. The one on the left, red, and the one on the right, of a lighter color in accordance with that shown by these animals in their natural environment. In the same way, a fresco whose origin we have not been able to establish yet, so any help will be accepted and thanked, shows exactly the same pattern as the previous case. The only difference is that the coloring of the beast's furs is changed sideways. And so again, the topic of the symmetries. And above all, the extraordinary position of both hands quite anti-natural, especially the saint's right hand. So here we have this hand, and we had the hand of our saint in this icon. So to conclude, a 19th century Bulgarian icon from the Tryavna School, similar to the first fresco we have just considered, with the difference that the saint looks to the left, where grace comes from, and the hands are somewhat grotesque. Similar to the sophisticated Mount Athos engraving shown in the same work. So, thank you for your attention. Thank you very much for your attention.